Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. I want to join my previous National Assembly members who congratulated the committee for coming up with the report. My intervention are in the form of questions, 2 questions to the ministry. Looking at this document from Naunjai, and if you are very familiar with administration, on the left-hand corner here, there are, on page 1, you have 92. On the third page, you have 8 and 9, or 89, something like that. And on the second to last page, you have 94. It looks like these are folios from a file. That's what it looks like. My question is, were you able to get Mr. Ndaunjai to be able to give you these information, or you just took them from his previous file? Okay? And for the committee, I just want to know whether you were privy with these information when you are making the decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Opanyomi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, the issue before us today is the report of the Public Appointment Standing Committee on the appointment of the retired Colonel Mamoun Ndaunjai and Mr. Yusuf Adiba as members of the Gambia Armed Forces Council in accordance with the Section 189, subsection 1G of the 1997 Constitution and Section 13, 1G of the Gambia Armed Forces Act. Madam Speaker, experience is wisdom. And Mr. Ndaunjai, to my belief, somebody who has climbed the ladder of being the head of our armed forces. I believe he has earned a lot of experience. And important is not the fact that how much paper you have gathered, whether it being a master's degree or certificate or however you may call it, but how zealous and prepared you are to serve your nation. And I hope he is more zealous and more prepared today than before to serve our country. Madam Speaker, if he who don't like elders, he himself don't want to grow old. Age is wisdom, as it was posited by the Honorable Member for Woolly East, that what an elderly man can see while lying down, a younger one cannot see even if you are on top of a tree or a hill. And that's the fact. When you go through the recommendation as follows by the committee of the Public Appointment Committee, Madam Speaker, I think the committee have done a good job, and they wouldn't have come with this report if they don't do their findings. Because they said they have recommended that the Assembly to confirm the appointment of retired Colonel Mamoun Ndaunjai and Mr. Yusuf Adiba as members of the Armed Forces Council for reasons that the candidate require the requisite knowledge with experience and or qualification to be appointed members of the Armed Forces Council. The candidate has exhibited impeccable character in their record of employment with both public service and the candidate as seasonal persons in their respective subject matters. Accordingly, the committee has mandated by the standing order hereby submits its report and recommendation for consideration and approval. That's what the committee said. And I think they have done thorough scrutiny before they will arrive at this conclusion. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I give my support according to the report I have seen from the committee. I trust them, and that's why it was referred to them, and therefore I give my support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nominated member, Honorable Jayton.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. First of all, my contribution is towards the report produced by the committee. I would start by first the composition of this committee and why it was composed that way and why it is important. This is the Public Appointments Standing Committee. It's a standing committee of the National Assembly. A committee which is headed by the Speaker herself. The Vice Chair is the Deputy Speaker, and both the leaders of the House, the two leaders of the House, are members of this committee. So there is much expected from the report of such a committee. And the reason why the composition of this committee is of experienced people and not young people, probably like myself, and Honorable Member of Banjul Central, and Honorable Member of Upper Salum, Lower Salum, it's because probably we wouldn't have the experience to give advice on such important appointments that are constitutional appointments. There's a reason why the composition of this committee is in like that. And for that reason, I expected more of this report. We need to ask ourselves why a public standing committee of the National Assembly. This is because these appointments, such appointments, require public scrutiny. That is why it is referred to us as representative of the people, to scrutinize such important people that their appointments are constitutional appointments before they take up this role. And that is why the public need to be involved. It is public service. They say public service is the most honorable service. And that is why the most important thing about a public servant is their character, their principles, what legacy have they left. Why these two people? And I expected the committee to go deep into the investigation. I was expecting the methodology of this report to involve interviews. Why didn't the committee call these people and put them to task and ask them, can you show cause why we should appoint you to this honorable constitutional appointment position? People mentioned here, and I'm following the commentary online, about the issue of Mr. Njai. I don't know Mr. Njai. People say Mr. Njai is a household name. The household name doesn't mean anything to me. He could have been famous household name. He could have been an infamous household name. What does that mean? So it was the responsibility of the committee to tell someone like me, who is this Mr. Njai? What is his legacy? What has he achieved through? I read from his CV that he set up the army, and then what? What are the things he has done for the army? Because if I look at people say we shouldn't, the things said that the TRRC could be lies, but it could also be true. And the recommendations of the TRRC are yet to be out. And this is a TRRC we set up in this house. So I don't even think it is fair for us to disregard what is being said for the TRRC. And we know the importance of why we set up the TRRC. So the committee would have had an opportunity to call on this Mr. Ndaunjai and ask him these questions, or call on the people he had worked with. That's one of the most important part of public scrutiny. Call the people who know Mr. Ndaunjai, call the people who have worked in the army with him, and hear what they have to say about his character, and hear what they have to say about his achievement and his legacy, because this is no ordinary person, a person who was asked to set up the army. So these are the things I would advise the committee next time they are being asked to perform such a task. It is important to hold public inquiries on such people. And this is very important because we should remember that the purpose of this government is to transition and transform, having regard of our history. And it is important, especially for us young people, to know that whatever we do today can be questioned tomorrow if we want to serve this nation. And it is the opportunity of this parliament to set up that example. If the parliament had called these people to public scrutinies and public inquiries, all of us as young people serving this nation would learn an example to preserve our honor, our integrity in public service. And this is very, very important. So I would advise the committee next time to take note of this and invite these people, or invite the people they have worked with. What stopped the committee from having these people to come and explain? For example, people are not satisfied with Mr. Ndaujai not providing his certificates. We all see that he has had extensive experience, but just an interview with him, asking him questions like, Mr. Njai, what would you have done, what would you do differently being on this commission? What are you going to offer given your experience? Those kind of questions had to be answered in this report. We like to know what these people can offer our nation, because they are in a very critical and important going to take a very important position. So for me, I cannot even make a decision based on the committee's report on whether to accept confirm the appointments of these people or not, because to me, I am disappointed with the report in all honesty. The second issue is the issue of the certificates of Mr. Njai. I don't know why the reason why he provided the CV and no certificates to back it up, but even that could be put aside. If only we can satisfy ourselves of his record in the army, and I'm sure that with Mr. Diba it will be difficult. It's difficult to prove a civil servant's legacy, but regardless, you can ask questions with the people they work with to really know who are these people to be appointed to this kind of positions. With the reports coming from the TRRC, even though as of now these are allegations, it is important that we wait for the recommendations. If there is any person, being Mr. Njai or any other person, that is adversely mentioned in these commissions, it is important, especially for Parliament, because these are the commissions we set up ourselves, to give them that regard, to wait for their recommendations. It is very important. We cannot just disregard the things we have heard from the TRRC. They are important. If we feel that they are not important, what's the point having TRRC and paying millions towards it? These recommendations are important. The TRRC is here to investigate our history and why we are where we are and make recommendations for reform. And one of the purposes of this council is to make recommendations for reform. So having a person who is adversely mentioned on the TRRC on the council, really, without waiting for the Commission's recommendation, I think we can avoid that as a Parliament. So as of now, really, giving the report of the committee is very hard for me to make a decision on both. I would say with the CV of Mr. Diba, probably it's a very convincing CV, and I think his experience in public service and also his certificates and his achievement would be a plus to the council. But another thing is, like the other members have said, I would have loved to see a nominee as a woman. We now have the vice president as a woman, but that's not guaranteed. And we can wake up tomorrow and have a vice president as a male. This is an opportunity. There is a reason why the Constitution went outside the people in the military and say you can recommend 2 other people. The intention, I assume, of the drafters is to have 2 people from different perspectives who would bring an addition to the knowledge of those who compose it as military men. 2 people from different walks of life that don't have military background. For example, Mr. Ndao, someone who can advise them on policy. We can have another financer. We can have another legal person as a nominee. I think there are options, and I think we can really go back, the executive, and go back and really look into this and make better recommendations. Thank you.
Member for Kantora.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honourable Speaker, first of all, I would like to congratulate the Select Committee for taking their ample time under a particular time frame to come and deliver a report based on experts' advice through support staffs and clerk of this august body. Honorable Speaker, before going further, I want to register my disappointment when members are making comments of someone's character who cannot be present here to defend himself in this assembly. This is actually flouting the standing orders, and I was surprised when these members are not put to order. However, parliaments emanate from Parliament, which communicates that has done here extensively since morning till now over a confirmation under the Constitution giving us the privilege and the powers to confirm for a commission which will serve as an advisory body to government on policy issues, administrative issues of the Gambia Armed Forces. Honorable Speaker, I'm very much delighted today as a young man growing up, being part and parcel of a particular project that is first of its kind in the Gambia, to establish this council, to give expert advice to government in terms of the rationale, I assume, is to enrich the civil-military relations. These councils come to correct the mistakes of the past. We presume that had it been this council was established during the first regime, this issue of civil-military relations could have been empowered, strengthened, so that the military could be seen as subordinate to the civilians. This will give a rethink in the entire security forces. That is now a council has been established whereby the civilian and the military can work in collaboration. However, bear it in mind, is subordinate relations. The reserve rights are in the executive to give commands. But when it comes in terms of modus operandi and operation in the field, that is the right of the armed forces. When those clear policies are shaped, there is every likelihood the issue of coup d'etats will not take place. There will be a reorientation in the minds of militaries. A proper civil-military relations will be established. And the man in question, Mr. Ndaunjai, happened to be the pioneers, happened to be the founding fathers of this particular institution we are deliberating on. People also should not lose sight that experience and wisdom is heavily attained from the age of 40s and above. So having this great man in the midst of the council members would only enrich and beautify the job of the council. Making references to the professionalism, making references the ranks he has rose through during the service of his country. But it will be very, very, very improper to castigate somebody, to defame the character, giving financial allegations to him when he couldn't be here to address. And Commission of Inquiry, this mandate is given to Commission of Inquiry to look into Jammeh's foundings from 1994 to date. What has that got to do with him? This is someone's opinion that said that if you see the 1994 coup took place because of the negligence of this, it's his opinion. Has the man given the benefit of the doubt to come and appear before the commission? Is the findings addressed? Is the finding completed? So why hold him brief? Even if the CRRC, that revelations are coming up, people giving their own personal opinion, they're entitled to that. But that cannot be used as a yardstick here. So obviously, with almost due respect, issues of sentiments, issues of opinions in the public should not dictate us in any decision we are doing here. What's really important, we must, at the end of the day, be pleased or be at peace with our conscience. And we will take this vote based on our conscience, not to be dictated by political lines or partisan politics in these chambers. Honorable Speaker, this will give us a great opportunity to preserve the legacy this man has done for this country. How would you feel the founding fathers being our midst, giving us expert advice, giving with the wealth of knowledge and experience they have? Honorable Speaker, IT students can bear me witness. Education attained in 20 years ago is likely to be nothing compared to contemporariness of computing or computer science of this age. If you're not really helped with experience, you'll be found wanting. So experience matters a lot. Honorable Speaker, the committee gave resolutions. And those resolutions are backed with facts. Haven't considered X, Y, Z. They advise this August plenary to accept the motion they've moved for the confirmation of these two individuals. Notwithstanding, we cannot lose sight for the fact that it's a subsidiary or a subset of this plenary that was given a task to go and help us in further scrutiny. Having done that, we know it is not final. However, the final say is here. So definitely, every individual peruse to the report based on your own individual purview and based on your understanding, and that's why we've made utterances. But what's really important, at the end of the day, anything you are doing must be guided with conscience. Anything you are doing, we should try in as much as we can to represent this so-called interest we are advocating this morning, quoting the standing orders, quoting the prayers of assembly, of course. Our decision based on those words. So at the end of the day, let justice guide us actions we are taking today. Let justice prevail in our decision. But I am of the belief that what this man can offer, because of the wealth of experience that he has had, training, would be in better position. And mind you, this is an advisory role. And that advice is only enriched by expert experience. The lifetime he has already gone through during the time. This is somebody who knows this armed forces to his fingertips. So bringing the issue of his character, bringing the issue of misconduct here and there, I mean, doesn't really augur well. We should really do away from that. The bone of contention is to peruse to the qualification and experience as dictated by the Constitution. Period. And form decision on that. Not necessarily gauging opinions of people giving you sort of story about him in individual and coming here to mislead the gallery. That would be unacceptable. So I am calling all and sundry for the interest of this nation, for the interest of this country to move ahead. For the first time for us to have this establishment in place, nobody should be a hindrance or a blockage. And give this particular report the necessary attention it deserves. So that this will go a long way in expediting the long-awaited SSR, Security Sector Reforms process. Honorable Speaker, this is beyond political party lines. This is beyond political sentiments. Nation first. I thank each and every one of you for your indulgence. And thanks so much for giving me the floor.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I think if I didn't comment on the report of the Standing Committee, I think I will not do justice to this report. Honorable Speaker, what is before us here? The committee's report with regards to the appointment of two elderly people to Armed Forces Council. The committee put under consideration the constitutional provision, and of course, Armed Forces Act also was quoted. I think the committee has done a very good job. Honorable Speaker, this is a new creation, and as such, really, people that are selected or identified to advise the highest position in the country, those people need to, one, have the experience, needs to have a maturity age over the issues. Honorable Speaker, the issue of youths and female in the country, I have no objection to it. The youths of this country are the future leaders of our country. The women are also playing a very important role in the national development of this country. And women are highly placed in this government. So having talked about them, I certainly have no objection to it, really. But, Madam Speaker, when you talked about a woman to be a member of this council, as at now, with the composition of this council, I'm not talking about the vice president. I'm not talking about that. Maybe that's a political position. But the minister, for the time being responsible for defense, the chief of defense staff, Armed Forces Chief of Staff, Commander of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and of course, F indicates, as at today, the Permanent Secretary of Minister responsible for Defense. Madam Speaker, as at now, maybe in the future there could be some changes, but as at now, if this commission is council is established, I think we have a female representative in the council, because the current permanent secretary is a female. Honorable Speaker, after having said that really, this is a very, very important council, and I think the people that have been nominated, it should be their responsibility to guide this country properly in terms of advising the President of the Republic of Gambia. On to that, Honorable Speaker, the young people, we have very good young people all over the country, but really, in my own way of seeing things, I think they should wait for their time and give opportunity to the elderly people that can advise the President. Elderly in one aspect, if the President fails, any President, if he fails, and this council is established, it is the elderly people that have been nominated, ratified this by this Parliament, are the people that makes this country fail. The issue of looking into our leaders' eyes, failing to advise them correctly, ill advice, is always a problem for any country. And in the Gambia here, our problem is that people are looking into the eyes of the people. Instead of advice correctly, they will give ill advice. And at the end of the day, the whole problem will fall on the head of state, and of course, not only the head of state, but the nation at large. And the issue of certificate, Honorable Speaker, most of my honorable members talked about certificate. I think in the case of Yusuf Adiba, the credentials are university certificate, and in the case of Ndaunjai, it's a different issue. I can agree that if members are referring to the university degrees or certificate from the university, that could be a different issue. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important position, and as National Assembly, the President cannot and will not go ahead with these appointments without the approval of the National Assembly. The National Assembly is another arm of government, different from the executive. Executive has its own role to play. National Assembly also has its own role to play in that of judiciary. But, Madam Speaker, this issue before us is a very critical issue, and we should look at it critically. We should look at it critically in a way that whosoever, whether Yusuf Adiba or whether Ndaunjai, or whether all of them are out or all of them are in, we should look at it critically as National Assembly. The hope of the Gambian people lies on this National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, with these few remarks as a member of the committee, I think I should stand and then give my contribution towards this important council. I thank you.
Thank you. Banjul Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, I think this Parliament should take ourselves as example. We should take this Parliament as an example. Anyone can correct me if I am wrong. 75% of this Parliament didn't achieve their first degrees. And we are delivering to expectation. And we are holding very high positions as National Assembly members. Looking at, for example, the Defense Committee, Standing Committee on Defense, how many people in that committee have worked under the defense and security sector before. You can count them, but yet still they are doing their job. They are living to expectation.
Point of
they are
order.
doing what
Point
people
of
are
order.
expected.
Point of order.
Come on.
Point of order.
No, never mind.
What's your authority?
Yes, debate upon any motion or amendment to a motion, or upon any bill or part of a bill or amendment to a bill shall be relevant thereto, except in the case of a motion for debate on the adjournment of the assembly. The member was out.
I think, Honorable, let us be fair to each other. Please proceed. Can you proceed? All of us should have been guided by that rule from the beginning. Please proceed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I think we shouldn't base this on qualifications only. Yes, I am proceeding. I think we shouldn't base this on qualifications only. Experience is very important. We all know that. I, for example, as a junior NAM, serving my first term, we always learn from the old members who have served 1 or 2 or 3 times in this parliament. These are the people who have been guiding us here in the parliament in terms of parliamentary procedures, in terms of committees, in all aspects of our work we do in parliament. So if we want to say that Mr. Mamadou Ndao Njie is not qualified or fit to be in this position, we are really fooling ourselves. Definitely. Someone who has served in the army for so many years. How many American presidents? We are high school products, and we are one of the best American presidents who have served in America. They serve to expectation. Many people in the parliament, as I said here too, some of us are even high school products. And who questioned that? Who questioned that? And we are delivering to expectation. We are doing what our people are expecting from us. So someone who has served more than 2 decades in the army, and he was among the people who set up the army, we want to say that that man is not fit to hold this position. And it's not that he's going to be the director or the senior person, but it's member of the council. So I think we should sometimes ration before we just make decisions. How many people present have been mentioned in the Janneh Commission? So many allegations on them, but they are still serving in this country. So with the issue of Mr. Mamadou Ndao Njie having so many allegations in the TRC, so we want to say that he cannot serve, or he's not fit to serve, or he doesn't deserve to earn the position. I say no to that. So I'm in support of the nomination of Mr. Mamadou Ndao Njie and Mr. Yusufa Baboucarr Diba. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. This is a landmark session, and we should ensure that the decision we make will also be a landmark decision. Honorable Speaker, the committee is established to scrutinize, consider, and advise. And they have done what they're supposed to do. It is our prerogative to take the advice or not to take the advice. But But if we reject the advice, we must have reason for doing that. And the reasons must be concrete, not just something that is speculative. Honorable Speaker, our task is clearly stipulated, as the committee has already indicated. Section 189, subsection 1G, simply states that there shall be an Armed Forces Council which shall consist of all those elements, and G saying 2 other persons appointed by the President. Appointed by the President. Appointed by the President. Subject to confirmation by the National Assembly. This National Assembly is not the appointing authority. It is confirming or not confirming. Security is in the hands of the executive, and we must make clear line of demarcation as to what constitutes separation of powers. The executive executes, is responsible for implementation. We have oversight role in guiding that executive not to err. That is our role. And therefore, confirmation is about scrutiny. And scrutiny is about standards. Unfortunately, the Constitution has not given us A, B, C, D, the standards that we should rely on to do our scrutiny. So we must go back then to our own provision of Section 112 that whatever we do must be in the national interest and must be based on conscience. What is in the national interest in this case is to ensure that if the president appoints, then we must have information that we know. If we put across, the person appointing will say, yes, I erred in appointing because I failed to see this particular element. If I saw it, I would not have done the appointment. But if it is simply saying, President, what you say, we will not agree with it, we will not confirm, and that president is not convinced, then you create a war between executive power and legislative power. And executive power will believe that, well, it's my duty to perform, but you are injecting in my own armed forces some element of distrust. Maybe you have a motive of some form of destabilization. I am saying how the executive thinks, because it is their duty. We are helping the executive not to fail. And what we must do is to guide that executive based on what is enlightened information. Honorable Speaker, what I've seen before me is a report from the committee indicating that they have examined the credentials of all these people, both of them, in terms of the methodology on page 3, and they are convinced that they should to be supported. That's what the committee is saying. For me, it is difficult in any way to assess credentials, and it's not my role to do that, because there is nothing indicating here the level of education that the person should have to occupy a given position. Nobody has told me that. So if it appears before me that the person is guilty of impropriety, that would be an element in terms of integrity of appointment. But I don't have that information. And my colleague should convince me. And what I've heard so far, in fact, is indicting Parliament rather than indicting the individual. I am being very objective. I am being told, from what I've heard, that somebody was removed from the army in 1992 by the chief executive who sees that person as a friend. As a friend, then it means that you don't distrust that person. You make a person a friend only if you don't distrust the person. So you are telling me then that that particular person is very trustworthy. And why was the person removed? A speculative statement was made that there are allegations that the person squandered. And we know from our Public Finance Act that such a person cannot be a vote controller in an institution. Who is the vote controller at the Ministry of Defense? So if we are to make allegations, we must base it on facts, fact of law or evidence from a court of law, conclusive evidence from a court of law. This Parliament must not make allegations until it has conclusive evidence, prima facie evidence. So we must understand that we are sitting on the seats of judges when we sit here, because we are empowered to confirm. We are judging people. And we should be impartial, objective, to know that when we finally make a decision, that person will say, yes, these people have done the right thing. You will not hold those people in contempt. That's what justice is about. That what you do, even though it may affect the person, but the person will yield to it because the person knows that what is done is the right thing. So we are dealing with the lives of our citizens, fathers, mothers, families. So what we say here, we should bear in mind, must be something that protects the integrity of our citizenry. So in that regard, Honorable Speaker, I've not heard anything so far that convinces me that the person's integrity is in question. What I see is a national order from France, from the Republic of France, not the Republic of Gambia, but from the Republic of France. That's honorable. What made it possible for that person to have that national honor from a foreign country? Is it because he had a high school certificate? Is that why that order was given? The person must have occupied a position of tremendous importance for another country to give you an honor. So we must be fair to our citizens and celebrate their honor and their achievements and deprive them of what they should be deprived of based on a strong foundation of truth. Honorable Speaker, I am told, I don't know, I've just heard from this assembly that he was removed from the army in 1992. Speculation is that maybe it's because of incompetence. What was the reason? But I know that in 1994 there was a coup d'etat. Nobody has told me so far that he became an accomplice of the coup d'etat. I've not heard that yet. And then the element of trust will come. So who is to be judged for incompetence? If we want to speculate, why was the person removed? There is only one position that I agree entirely. That confirmation should lead to some form of hearing where we invite people concerned and address our concerns to them. That is irrefutable and must be a base that we must rely on to carry out our scrutiny. Because it is only fair that we should hear from the person. And all the allegations made here, the person cannot address them. And it's in the public space. But with the committees, the person can appear. And we can confirm. Honorable Speaker, I will conclude by saying that I have not had any information from this Parliament that confirms the issue of lack of integrity and untrustworthiness. And in this work of being in an armed forces council, it is the person who will ultimately suffer some form of instability or disorder that is more concerned than all of us. So it is that person who should examine who is best qualified to advise him as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Gambia. I don't think every president will have the same chain of advisors, because you do not have the same objectives in governance. So if a president comes and have his own chain of advisors, if we see anything that we know can ultimately harm an institution, it's our duty to take our stand and make that clear. If the person accepts, fine. Not accept, fine. We would have done our duty. But honorable members, we are not the appointing authority. We are here to confirm. And I have not heard anything that will say that we should not confirm these two appointments. If any member has any issue of integrity, any issue of being not trustworthy, being untrustworthy, I will clearly be interested in being guided, and probably I will change my conclusion that once there's an appointment, unless we have something that shows that that will harm the interests of the nation, then that appointment is the president's appointment, and it should be allowed to flow by virtue of the fact that this is a council. Those two people are in the minority. The others have expert understanding ideas, so it's simply an input. It's not something where the person is holding a substantive post. When we came to the ombudsman, you were looking for a substantive post, but this is the post of an advisor. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Banjul North.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. It was well articulated and with such clarity that I don't think there is anything more that one can say. So just to add this, that for me, I would agree with the member for Serakunda that one thing that the committee should learn henceforth and to adopt as practice is that, and he said it when we were considering the appointment of the ombudsman, that it's important for this committee to be inviting nominees. So I think that is something that you should learn from now on, that whenever you are considering this nomination, invite them to hear from them and tell them what you want to hear from them to give you an informed, to enable you to make an informed decision, and then a report that would, of course, be accepted by the committee. So for me, like I said, there's nothing much to say, but I think where we should have our minds as National Assembly members is that the functions of this council, these nominees, are they incapable, any one of them, incapable of that is section 189, subsection 2A, advise the president on all matters of policy relating to defense and strategy, including the role of the armed forces, defense budgeting and finance, administration, and any other matter which the president may refer to the council. I think these are the issues that we should really concentrate on to gauge whether the nominee or nominees, as the case may be, and this particular case is, are in this position to provide this advice to the president. Well, they have been arguing about academic qualifications. They are important in giving instances. But in this case, I don't think academic qualification is what is required, as had been clearly explained by the member for Sarakunda, that where is the criteria? Where are the standards to base our judgment? And that is absent here. There is no academic qualification. I don't know how it was imported into this discussion, but I think it's a faux pas. Experience in this is key. And I don't think any of them is incapable of being an advisor, to be advising on these areas. The B also says the same thing, advise the president on the promotion of officers to the rank of lieutenant colonel or its equivalent and above. And these nominees, they are not the sole members of this council. They are not in the majority. They'll be working with others, some who are engaged in active service. They're just advising based on their experience, past experience. So I don't see any challenge, any problem as far as their nomination is concerned. And presently, the Minister of Defense has been heralded as a soldier who has served. I'm not sure whether he had advised the president on this nomination, but if he is satisfied, then I don't have any qualms with that. So, like I said, the functions of the council is what matters, is how we should really determine these nominations. And of course, as has been stated, it's just confirmation, to confirm. Whether to confirm or not to confirm. And I don't see any problem of not confirming them. So basically, it's just, they'll be engaging in an advisory capacity. And I believe that the two, based on their past experience, are really in a position to live up to expectation. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, I just want to state this, that if you look at the council, I would want the Honorable Defense Minister to inform me whether this position exists and is filled, the position of Armed Forces Chief of Staff. I've not heard of anybody in that capacity, so I don't know whether somebody is filling the position. But that's something that I would want the Honorable Minister to inform me about. Other than that, I have no problems with confirming the nominations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Lower Badibu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the floor. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to thank the members for their wonderful contributions. Honorable Speaker, we are debating on the issue of the confirmation of the appointment of the two gentlemen of the Republic of the Gambia. And as the speakers before me have said, Honorable Speaker, this August Assembly will agree with me that experience, we used to say that experience is the best teacher, and experience matters a lot. And to be fair to ourselves, Honorable Speaker, the generation that we are today, most of us, if we are talking about the credentials, the certificate, and other stuff, we just go to school just to pass an exam. But the experience and the purpose of learning is not there. So who are we today to question the integrity of certain individuals, Honorable Speaker? And if you go further through the report, you look at the functions of this council. Who among us can tell me or inform me explicitly that these two people are not competent for this job? Because they are part and parcels of the founding fathers of the Gambia Armed Forces. Honorable Speaker, I want to learn this word from one of my uncle, a landed friend, Honorable Sida Jara, the member for Woolly West. If we are in this August Assembly, let us be here for the national interest. Let us do away with politics and political line issues. Honorable Speaker, please can the Honorable member excuse me to go on? She has spoken her time, and I don't want to be rude on this high level August Assembly. Please, if you could warn her to stop what she is doing to me. You heard me? Thank you. Honorable Speaker, it is true that when we are here, we need to do away with the party interest. and political issues. We have to be here for the Gambia and her people. But some of the people were spoonful to go and say this. We should pass that stage now. We have to be liberal, we have to be independent. We have to speak our minds. What will be the national interest? Not party line interest or whatsoever. If you came with that, drop it outside. Here is Gambia. Honorable Speaker, going further, I landed that Mr. Ndaunjai was honored with national order from the Republic of France. And if you look at the military capacity of France, France is part of the G8, it's part of the world powerful state today. Who are we, a small nation, saying that we are trying to question the capability of our own son? It's a pity and it's a shame. Honorable Speaker, we have to celebrate our people for their achievements. But if we want to bring hatred, jealousy, and issues into our national issues, Gambia, we will not go anywhere, Honorable Speaker. Some people talk about the Commission of Inquiry and other stuff. This is not a judicial trial. These are fact-finding missions. They are trying to extract fact. Whether that is true or not, we cannot establish that as of now. Who can stand and say that this is what he has committed? Nobody. So people should do away with sentiment, speculation, and hearsay. Let's be factual. Let's celebrate our people, our heroes. Honorable Speaker, if you go further, I am a little bit disappointed about the Select Committee, the Standing Committee. If you go to the Constitution, Section 109, subsection 3, has given us the power to examine witnesses even if they are abroad. Why is it that the committee did not examine these people in person? They have all right to do so, because the Constitution has given us the power to do so. So you cannot question somebody's integrity or somebody's incapability if you don't hear from the person. And we have that right to invite them here. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution did not give us any qualification guideline that these are the criteria that we should select these people. I am stand to be corrected. The whole House is here. If it is there, correct me. So what are the basis for us to reject these people? My friend, we are all Gambians. We know what is going on. So let's be factual and see Gambia first. Whatever you have that's personal, throw it out. Here is Gambia. I will say this. Honorable Speaker, without wasting the time of the Assembly, I just want to throw my weight on this report to say that I am with the Minister of Defense 100% on these appointments, because he is selected based on competence, he is selected based on trust, and we know that he can do it. And we know that he also will not point anybody that cannot do this job. Who is more competent than Ndaunjai in Gambia National Army, yesterday and today? How can you say we take Mr. A because of this and this, and we leave Mr. B? Let's stop that hypocrisy. Thank you so much.
Please, let's be careful with our choice of words. Please. Please,
Speaker, please.
No.
That's really very rude. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, that's rude.
Because of their opinion.
You should withdraw it. That is rudeness. It's rude.
Order. Please, order.
That's rudeness. It's rudeness.
People said that in this assembly, you've never put them to order, Madam Speaker.
Please.
Very mindful. They are working.
Madam Speaker.
Please,
Order.
please sit down.
Madam Speaker.
Please, honorable members, can
Madam
we have
Speaker.
order? No, please. We honorable nominated, at least I expect you to guide us as far as decorum is concerned. So please, if I say order, let there be order. Please, honorable gentlemen. No, I'm not taking anything. Please, it is not for the honorable member to ask. It is not for you. That is not your role. With all due respect, that is not your role. Please. Now, honorable member for Lower Badiou.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please, can you just withdraw the use of the word hypocrisy? That's all.
No, Honorable, Madam Speaker, please, Madam Speaker, he is not going to withdraw.
Speaker, Madam
People use words here, castigating people here, and we never put them to, don't withdraw.
Samusa, sit
Don't
down.
withdraw.
Let Honorable Samusa sit down. It's enough now.
Please,
Don't be rude, honorable member, don't be rude.
I know, please, can we just have order? It's a simple matter. It is very, very simple. I mean, no member has the authority to ask another member to withdraw a word. So please, it is neither for Ilyasa nor for nominated member Samusa. Let us just go by procedure. Now, I am saying, honorable member for Lower Badibu, please just withdraw the word hypocrisy. That's all. That's all. Please. For own purposes, yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable
Thank
Speaker.
you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, you are not done yet. Please, can I hear it? I didn't get it. Lower Badibu, I didn't get it.
Honorable Speaker, I think we have many speakers here.
No, not from it is from the chair.
I know you are the only chair.
It is from the chair, yes.
It is from the chair, but not from Eliasa and others. Okay, I withdraw it.
Honorable members, please, let us just, there are rules and regulations that guide our proceedings. So please, let us just follow it. Yeah? And then at the end of the day, we will be able to move forward. Thank you. I still have an honorable member for Banjul South on my list, or no? I think that was the last one on my list. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think I still need to give my word, even though I'm a member of the committee. I first of all thank all my honorable colleagues for having thoroughly gone through this report and being very observant and very detailed in all their deliberations. But I will also stand to defend the credibility of the members of this committee because it is unquestionable. Madam Speaker, we are called honorable members, not because that we are honorable, just because we went through elections and won a seat here. That is the reason we are called honorable. There's no experience attached to it. The only qualification, I think, is high school certificate. High school certificate, that is what we need to come and sit here. And to speak English. So, Madam Speaker, and that gives us the title honorable, which is a very high title. Madam Speaker, in my opinion, for somebody to have worked in the army from 1960s, I was not even born. I don't think my mom was even married at that time, let alone me being born. Madam Speaker, and I think some of my honorable colleagues have mentioned there is no academic criteria mentioned. It is good because I'm an advocate for education, but I do not discredit experience. I love education, and everybody knows that. And I will go to the highest limit. I will even proceed for my doctorate if time permits me. But Madam Speaker, experience cannot be undervalued, especially when it comes to adversary position. Because I hold a degree in project management. I don't think I'm doing any project management work here. And Madam Speaker, I will stand here and call myself one of the best. I would say not because I had the experience, but because I came and I was determined to serve. Madam Speaker, I will not discredit the academic credentials of Mr. Diba, but Madam Speaker, his academic credentials are excellent, but they are not in any way in security service. How can we vouch for him to serve in a security position and not vouch for somebody who's been working in a security position even before I was thought of? Madam Speaker, I'll be 50 years this year. And to say that somebody who have worked in that service for that time cannot advise us? Madam Speaker, I'll take the minority leader for example. I am much older than he is, but he served more years in this August House. I seek his advice, not because he's more educated, but he's got more experience, of course, so he can guide me in parliamentary procedure. Madam Speaker, the three things are integrity, trustworthiness, experience. And if we look at those three words, Madam Speaker, it goes high, it hangs high on the head of Colonel Ndaunjai. Madam Speaker, if we are saying, if some of them ask what he's achieved in the army, Madam Speaker, he created the Yundum Barracks, which gave birth to the Farafenye. Not only that, he was overseeing the naval forces, and he prevented the prevention of trafficking, poaching, and the defense of the territorial waters. Madam Speaker, what more can we ask for in terms of delivering in service? Madam Speaker, Gambia was well known in the years of Colonel Ndaunjai. Madam Speaker, we had Nigerians coming to the Gambia, and I think the minister can attest to that, if I am wrong. Madam Speaker, Ndaunjai was given an order of the highest order in France, not because he had education credentials, it was because of his track record in the military field, in the defense field. Madam Speaker, one of my colleagues said, let us embrace our own. Let us not be blinded by this conscience. I'm not calling anybody, I'm not saying that we are not working with conscience, but I, for one, I am guided with conscience. I, for one, Madam Speaker, I am here to protect the integrity of my country, and I will not defend anything that would put the integrity or the security of my country at stake. Madam Speaker, I defend the report that I am part and parcel of. Madam Speaker, I stand to recommend and I stand to appeal to my honorable colleagues to support the recommendation of both Mr. Diba and Mr. Ndaunjai. This is a whole equation, Madam Speaker. If Mr. Ndaunjai is missing in this equation, it will not be a full. Madam Speaker, it will fail to be a whole. Mr. Ndaunjai created the armed forces in this country. If we are to create the Armed Forces Council, and he is missing in that equation, Madam Speaker, we will go until kingdom come. It will not succeed. Madam Speaker, I'll leave these three words: integrity, knowledge, and trustworthiness. Let us be guided by our conscience and support this recommendation. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Member for Tumana.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I think I was missing here since last week, but thank God that I'm back now. I just go through these things, though it's a very hectic week for me, but I think I was just going through this report, First of all, I think I have to thank the committee for coming up with a good report to lay before this plenary. And I think I also want to suggest that, yes, it's true that, old age attracts wisdom. That's very right. But we are talking about experience. We have seen what is being manifested, even in this parliament here. People are here who work in the pre-colonial era, First Republic, Second Republic, even in this republic, without any experiences. What do we talk about? There are some National Assembly members here, you're not even mad to go and seek for their advice. The same thing can be applicable to this guy. What dimension are we coming from? Let us not be moved by sentiments. This is parliament. Everybody is dictated by your consent. And when we are talking, we are saying, okay, let us not be politically motivated. Nobody is a political animal here. But we know that whoever is sitting in this parliament, you are here for your interest. That's your political interest. And that's the interest of this country. Any party in this country is working towards the best interest of this country. And that's the party that you belong to. So we should not just be moved by sentiments. Sometimes I am flabbergasted when I heard some members talking. It's like, there is an atomic bomb that just explodes in front of them.
Please, let's be careful with our words. We're not praying for that.
And again, committee, please, next time, some people can have 100 years, and someone might have only 30 years. He has more wisdom than someone who lived for 100 years. Let us give thanks to young people of this country. We have young, brilliant soldiers in this country who can also do the same thing. We have them. Even from the aspect of the women. Where is the women empowerment? Let's go back. Let us go back to the National Development Plan and look at some of the priorities. Let us give thanks to our women in this country. On that note, Honorable Speaker, let me not just waste the time of the Parliament, because I came late and I would not be doing justice to the Parliament.
Your microphone is on, Banjul South. Can you put it? Thank you. That's the end of my list. Any more interventions? No? Thank you very much, honorable members, for that lively and very heated debate at times, but that's Parliament. The only thing that we don't want to happen is this, in this National Assembly is for exchange of blows. But other than that, we can air our views. But let us also do it in a proper manner with decorum. Thank you. May I at this point now call on the honorable member who tabled the report to respond to the issues raised in the report. Honorable member for Basse. Thank you. Member of the committee.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First of all, I want to thank all the members who have been taking part in these important debates, transforming the Parliament into a citadel of knowledge. It's very interesting. From interaction, we learn from each other. But during the learning process, you try to convince yourself and change your mind and take another dimension of a decision. That also is the beauty of Parliament. At the beginning, you might be thinking in a way. Along the way, after getting more information, may help you to change the sense of the direction of your mind. That also is Parliament. Madam Speaker, it has been a very interesting motion which attracted the attention of 33 National Assembly members This is a record. It's very rare to have such a number for a report. Thank you very much for adding value to our reports. I don't know if I have to consult you, because if I have to go one after the other, it will take me...
I've recorded 38 interventions. 38.
Okay. I agree with you. I withdraw mine. It's not bad. In Parliament, you should learn also to withdraw. It's not bad. So, Madam Speaker, 38 people taking part in a debate, that shows that the motion was very, very interesting. And let me tell you one thing. I'm here as independent, and my actions are guided by independent principles. So whatever I saw in this Parliament, if I say it's good, it's good. And what I saw here today, all the information that you have given here, it is helpful. It is helpful. The only advice that I have to give a parliamentarian, if you are given any information, make sure you have a clear source. In case if you are asked, where do you get information, you can refer to the source. Let us be very careful with that as parliamentarian. Madam Speaker, if members allow me, this will take me 60 minutes to answer to... The plenary is sovereign. If you ask me to speak 1 minute, I can speak 1 minute and finish it. If everybody wants to be answered, it will take me more than 60 minutes. The plenary is sovereign. I don't know what is your say about it. I summarize it. And nobody will call my attention that you don't answer to my question.
Your response will be based on the report. The Honorable Minister will respond to the other issues touching on the
Anyway,
motion.
thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think all the questions raised here have been answered. All the questions, almost. In fact, I think there's no question that has not been answered. Because what is important, we are trying to establish a fact in order to make a decision. And during the process, the debates, any issue that has been raised has been answered by another member. I observed that. And the members of the committee, Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and the Honorable Tumanjai has also answered to a lot of issues. The pending issues are very minimal. The first thing that I want to say, the assignment, the instruction that you have given us. You gave us the assignment, but you gave us also an instruction how to go about the assignment. In principle, you guided us what to do and how to do it. You guided us. The plenary, I'm referring to you. You guided us. You guided us through the Standing Order 114.2, that these are your limitations. If you go for this assignment, these are your limitations. Don't go beyond these limitations. You said so. We walk through your instruction, not beyond your instruction, but not also below your instruction. We walk according to your instruction. You ask us to find out the CVs. And the CV is what? Curriculum vitae. Cours de vie in French. Cours de vie. Course of life. What somebody did since he started to work up to the present moment, his course of life. You were interested in that. That was an instruction. You wanted to know the qualification. You wanted to know the quality and the attitude of the person. That also is your instruction. You instructed us to go and find out, to know the quality of these people, and also to know their attitude. If these people are with integrity or not. That also is your instruction. Out of your instruction, you wanted to know whether these people are of experience. And if I say experience here, I want to know whether the person has passed through the same activity on several occasions. That's what they call experience. Test on trial. How do you prove yourself of knowing something after testing it on many trials until you come with competencies? That's what they call experience. And that also was your instruction when you were giving us this assignment. And we have gone with these instructions to sit to do that assignment. And this is the result. This report that we have brought before you. But as I say, in Parliament, plenary is sovereign. We will never fail you in the trust and confidence that you put in us. We will not do it. For what reason? If we cannot do the job, we will decline and tell you we cannot do the job. But we would like also, if you are now assessing us, or you want to evaluate our work, it should be based within the frame of the instruction. What did you assign me of? If you want to do the correction of my work, base it on that. But if you go beyond the limit, at the end of the day, you will see my handicap. You will not see any result, in fact, because you are no longer within the context in which I was doing the assignment. So if you are not in the same psychological frame, it will be very difficult to value each other's work. And my intention is to bring all of us in the same psychological frame so that we analyze this thing in the context it was given to us. To go and verify who are these people. Are people with integrity? Are these people with experience? Are these people with qualification? Are these people with attitude? That's what we want to know. And we have brought before you that, yes, the question that you have asked, we got the answer that these people are people with integrity. These people are honored. These people have good attitude. These people have good qualities. It's based on this information now that you are going to answer to your constitutional mandate. That's to confirm, accredit, accept whether these people should be in the council or they shouldn't be in the council. Still, the plenary is sovereign. You assign what to bring to you the information. Here are the informations. But we want to assure you that we have taken many steps to come to this conclusion. We went to an extent to contact the person in question, Ndaw Njai. And we did understand that these certificates